Memphis, 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 Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
Yo, what up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Grizz 901. I am your host, Daniel Greer, and we are presented to you by Bluff City Media, home of all things Memphis. If you're not a subscriber already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. But also, join us over at Grizz 901 on YouTube. If you're on Twitter and you're watching this, if you're listening to this, please join us over on YouTube so we can see your comments. We want to make sure that we're able to get to a lot of the stuff. I have a new segment on the show today. I have not told my co-host because simply we haven't talked. He's been making a drink for the last 10 minutes. I've been trying to figure out how to reset up my stuff after going to my father-in-law's house. Listen, I've lost a chair in the meantime. There's no chair here. And so now I have short curtains. I didn't even know the curtains were short. Like, this is all new to me. I'm finally set up. But you know what? We're going to keep doing this show. And we're going to keep having fun. We're going to entertain you tonight. I promise you that. The Grizzlies did lose. But we're going to go ahead and keep marching on. We're going to have a fun show. Nate and I have a lot to catch up on. Let's start the show. Yo, Nate. All right, first things first. What'd you make?
I made a little drinky poo. I made myself a little iced Irish coffee, ran out of Kahlua, doubled down on the Baileys. You know, we've made a real strong push in the Qualls family to get rid of the alcoholism cycle, but the Grizzlies are doing their darndest to bring it back in the family. So, but no need to worry. It's all jokes, friends. Don't worry about it. Dad, if you're listening, it's not true. Well, I am having a drink, but the alcoholism part's not true. But man, yeah, made a little Irish coffee. Got a little Booker's while I was back in Tennessee. So excited about that. Trying that for the first time.
I'm excited about that.
That's good. It's good
all right,
stuff.
so
Unlike
listen, the Grizzlies lose.
Good.
Grizzlies did lose. Maybe you have some vacation stories to talk about. I want to hit on the comments real quick. Obviously, everybody's saying, you know, I said it was gross through the account. And then Chris is wondering who's going to be on the show today, right? Just which one. And then Kenny comes back in and he said, which one of the guys is going to go on a strike? So randomly, they thought it was you. They thought you were the one going on the strike. And honestly, that's probably true. That if one of us would have, it probably would have been you.
To be clear, I would have if you hadn't done the last show solo. Like, I would love to not be here right now. Honestly, like, my analysis of the game is going to be very short and sweet because I was mainly focused on how many points could Jake Elliott and Jalen Hurts get me in that Bills-Eagles game, which, by the way, Memphis alum Jake Elliott is absolutely carrying your boy from the end of that fourth quarter on. Did you see the end of that game?
I saw none of it, not going to lie.
He hit a 59-yarder to send it to overtime.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Who won?
And then Jalen Hurts ran one in for me at the end. So I ended up being like a 12-point swing for me.
So
shout
game
out.
over? Obviously, I guess an hour ago.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Wow. So the Eagles came from behind because I know they were losing for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Oh, 34-37. That's a good game. I missed that. Unfortunately, we watched the Grizzlies.
Well, not we.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I watched in the peripheral.
All right, so obviously the Grizzlies lose 119-97. It was ugly, and so we want to go ahead and get on to a lot of the show and talk a little bit of the stuff that I saw, I guess, in general. But I want to talk a little bit of kind of what is happening with this team as a fan base. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know, are we freaking out? Are we getting pissed? Am I going on Twitter and battling people? Yes, I was. And then I said, what am I doing? This is the dumbest shit ever. Like, it just is. It's dumb. I should not be talking to people about what a coach is thinking, or honestly, whatever. It's stupid. And so I honestly just stopped. And then Sane wouldn't stop bothering me via text because finally his boy, Jalen Noel, got in the game and he hit a bucket the first time. And then the next time he shot the ball, it hit the rim so hard, it almost beheaded the other player on the other team. And so
I can see that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
We almost had an injury to death via Jalen Noel.
Yeah, almost Justice Winslowed him, man.
He did. But the Grizzlies obviously lose. It was ugly from the very beginning, and we're going to talk about just that in general. We're going to break down the game. I do have another segment. It's brand spanking new. Like I said, Nate has no idea, but I want to ask him. It's going to come in our second segment right after our first break. But off the top rope, I know you have LOL Nope Jones coming up here, and it says, I've just accepted it at this point. What say you on that?
To be clear, yes. That is the answer. Like, listen, I mean, I'm sorry, but I turned the game on today, and I'm like, all right, what wonky way are they going to find to lose today?
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to be? And it turns out it was a wonky-ass lineup Taylor Jenkins put in at the beginning of the second quarter is what sent me off the edge. And I was like, I've been defending Taylor Jenkins. The last podcast, I think the show before that, I was defending Taylor. And then he comes out with that lineup at the beginning of the second quarter. I'm like,
what's the lineup?
What is this for?
What's the lineup?
It was Gilliard, Vince Williams, Zaire Williams, Santi Aldama, and Jaren Jackson Jr. And immediately they got they went on like a 12-2 run or 15-2 run or something like that. And it was like they scored 2 points in the first 5 minutes, I think, of the quarter. I didn't keep track of it exactly, but it was wonky. And listen, I'm still not going to say anything crazy tonight about any of those guys. Like, I'm not saying anything crazy about Taylor tonight, but I saw that lineup come out and I was like, what in God's name is this monstrosity that you've just put onto the basketball court? And then immediately it went south. But after that, it was sort of back and forth basketball for a lot of the game once that lineup got out. But then they're like, you're behind the 8 ball, And I think, honestly, my biggest thought and takeaway from this game, one, Jaren just has to know he's not a guard. Jaren's got to know how big he is and quit trying to take runners all the time. Like, I'm sorry. Like, at the end of the day, at some point, you've got to be able to post up against other bigs and use your size and not just constantly accept runners and floaters. That's the main thing. And again, I'm not going to say anything wild about Jaren. Still love him. Still think he's awesome. Still want him on this team. But that's just, you've got to figure that out at some point. The other thing.
I agree. So the Jaren thing, I agree on that. There's got to be some other way of figuring something out. I don't know what it is, but he's got to figure it out. And at some point he will. But the problem is, I think we're seeing is he's not a guy who's going to be a leader on this team in particular, personally. He's also not going to be an offensive threat on this team. Unless he can change his style of play, I think he's going to be a guy that is very, very good third option on the offensive end. And he's going to be a very good defensive player. But other than that, he's going to struggle. And that is what it is. And so right now, he doesn't have a main guy in John Morant, and Desmond Bane is going through it, dude. Like, he is giving everything he has, and he's giving a little too much. He's trying to force a little too much right now because they are losing and they do suck and the roster around him sucks. Like, he's trying to force it and it's showing, but he's got to chill a little bit on that, especially if he's hurt.
He's the only one out there that anyone has to worry about.
The only one.
Truly. Like, I mean, if you give up a wide open Santi Aldama 3,
you're fine with it.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. If you give up a wide open Zaire Williams, Derrick Rose, Jacob Gilliard. Jacob Gilliard might be the biggest one. You're like, hey, make sure you at least contest, right? Because he's hit a bunch of open threes since he's been playing. But like, it's just a mess, man. And the problem is, we talk about how unbelievable teams are shooting against the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
You've watched these guys shoot in warm-ups. They can hit like 8 in a row.
Yeah.
Steven Adams can hit 5 or 6 in a row from 3 in warm-ups. It's because there's no pressure. And there's zero pressure on any teams shooting against Memphis. One, there's no contest. Like, at the beginning of the game is target practice. It got a little bit better later on. But then once you get deeper into these games and you've already given up these huge 15-3 runs, 18-6 runs, whatever it is, then all of a sudden they've got cushion. It doesn't matter if they miss a shot. And then there's all the pressure in the world on the Grizzlies to make the shots. And so, yeah, part of it is just crazy shooting from some of these teams. Part of the crazy shooting is because what is it? It's shoot around. It's shoot around for them at the end of the day. And so the team's not good.
No.
Hashtag analysis. The players are not very good outside of a select few.
The team's not at all. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers of this game. Obviously, we'll be as entertaining as we possibly can. I don't know what direction we go, but I do want to get more entertaining in the second half, the second part of this. And so I'll probably kind of speed through the game analysis. There's no analysis. We suck. And we're putting out a bunch of people that shouldn't be on rosters. There's one guy that's starting for us that should be a starting point guard in the G League. He should not be on this roster. He's not that good. He's fine for what he is, right? But he's not a good enough player to be starting. Definitely not. And should he be playing? Probably not. We're seeing that Derrick Rose is head and shoulders much better than Jacob Gilyard. And that's no knock to Jacob Gilyard. He's just not as good as Derrick Rose and anybody else that really should be on the team. But just going through the other guys, like there's a lot of these players that should not be in the role they are. That's the analysis of this game, which sucks. I want to talk about Taylor Jenkins in the second segment. I want to ask some questions because I've been seeing a lot that's been going through Twitter, and I want to ask your opinion and I'll play a little devil's advocate a little bit because I think that's the easiest thing to do for me in particular. But we'll play on that. So I have a new segment that I'm going to ask you, and it's going to be titled, "How well do you know your Grizz?" So get ready. So you can play along, obviously, in the comments. I want y'all to answer as well. But looking at this, let's go through the Timberwolves first. Rudy Gobert sucks. Okay, that was the stat line. Karl Anthony Towns, 18-8. He's fine. Mike Conley, man. Shout out to Mike Conley. 18-10, 6 of 9 from deep. The dude loves playing here in Memphis and just kills us. And then Anthony Edwards, 24, 5, and 7. As Sane texts me before we kind of on, he goes, "This MFer is Michael Jordan's son." But he did say, he goes, "I'm kidding, but I think he's better than Dwayne Wade." That is high praise. I don't know if we're going that far just yet, but we got to know all of Dwayne Wade's career. We saw everything.
Yeah.
We're talking about just as of right now, this early in his career, I think they're closer than people would expect. Or honestly, I think Anthony Edwards could surpass him if he plays with good players and if he stays healthy throughout his career. But man, I love Anthony Edwards. Anything on this team that you want to point out real quick?
Yeah, Ant's awesome. Ant is better than I'm willing to admit he is at the moment. Like, I love Ant, but like when I watch him play, he's taken the step, I think, into like top tier, getting close to top tier superstar status. I mean, some of the shots he hits, it's like he just gets to his spot and hits it. And that's what you've seen guys like Dwayne Wade do. Dirk, Kobe, LeBron, all these guys, KD, you name the superstar. That's what they did, is they get to the spot and there's nothing you can do. Yeah. And he's got that little mid-range fadeaway that he hits whenever he wants to hit it.
Yeah.
It's nasty. And so, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to say I think he's better than Dwayne Wade until I see him do it consistently over a full season into another season. But yeah, I mean, I think Sane's got plenty of good reasons to be saying that. He's awesome, man. He's awesome.
No, he is. And then let's go through the Grizzlies real quick. Here we go. Sorry. These stupid stuff's popping up on my phone. Jaren, I want to get back to him. But 18-4-3. Obviously, we're going to ask Goon the Shooter how he feels about Jaren. No, we're not. Santi Aldama, 14-7. Biyombo was a fine game. His defense is absolutely horrendous right now. Like, it's so bad.
It's not good.
10-5-3. D-Bane, 13-2-4. I don't know what it is with him. I don't know if it's like the rebounding has completely fallen off, but it looks bad. And then Jacob Gilyard, a bunch of O's, and he had 1 assist. Zaire came in late in that fourth quarter and ended up putting up 11 points. Roddy, 11-4-2. D-Rose, 12-2-4. I didn't do the actual stats overall, and I didn't put up a player of the game. But if I had to do a player of the game, it would be Derrick Rose. I think he was one of the best players on the court tonight. And I'm talking about overall within everybody. Derrick Rose gets to his spots, the little hesitation move where he can get through into the lane, to the front of the rim, to a layup, whatever he wants to get to. He has that and looks very, very good. I know he leaves the floor more than I would like on his passes, and he kind of gets bailed out a lot with just throwing some random pass. But that's what he's done over his entire career. So at this point, there's no way you can teach an old dog new tricks. So Derrick Rose, player of the game here at Grizz 901. Anything on that you saw?
Remember when people were pissed we didn't get a Christmas Day game? I think they're still mad about it.
Well, we will have 12 back, so that's different.
Sorry, I was looking at all. No, that's actually where my mind was at. I was looking at this roster and thinking about Ja coming back and how depressed I still am about what it's going to look like. It's not great.
Yeah, true. Let's go through these comments real quick. And so we don't want to go to Goon the Shooter because
you're going to be
dangerous.
So disappointed in how well do you know your Grizzlies, because honestly I didn't know a couple of these names were on the roster.
Well, this is a fun one, so I have a couple up my sleeve that I'm going to go with as we go. This is going to be a segment we're going to do on every show. It's going to be very simple. It's going to make you think a little bit. I'm going to try to go through the most odd of odd questions, and then I'm going to go through some random stats, like which player in the last 10 games has done this, like stupid stats, but it'll be fun. But as Dak Daniels says, we don't have NBA players. That is the analysis. And I agree. I agree, Dak. And so there's one more I want to go see real quick. Start Rose at the point. I don't know if you want to start Rose at the point. LOL. Nope. Jones, because I think D Rose needs to be like limited minutes. I don't think he can play as many. And we're so close to getting to the point where Ja is coming back. I don't know if we completely screw it all up. I don't know if you have to have a point guard, but I like Derrick Rose, that second unit, just because he creates a little bit of a momentum, energy, and I think you have to have that. Every team has their best three-point percentage against us. I agree. Let me go. And then this is what I want to get to. This is Nate for Nate. I always wonder whose ceiling is higher, Ja or Ant.
Well, it helps if one of them's they're both on the court, so you can kind of compare. But yeah, I don't know. I truly don't know. That's what makes me uncomfortable is I think it was clearly Ja even a year ago.
Really?
Less than a year ago. It was clearly Ja. And I shouldn't say the ceiling was clearly higher because we didn't know about Ant. But if you look and said who's going to be the better player, you say, oh, Ja. Ja's 100% the better player. Now it's kind of like, have we just forgotten how amazing Ja is? Yeah. Or has Ant taken a huge leap? Unfortunately, we still got 9 games to go until we can really answer that question truthfully. But the answer is it's way closer than I think anyone would have said last year. And it all comes down to shot making, right? I mean, athletically, Ja's otherworldly, right? I mean, he's the top percent of the 1% of the 1% athlete. But Ant you saw him get to that fadeaway tonight. Just a huge shot maker. He's cold-blooded too, man. So I don't know. I can't answer that till Ja gets back and I can actually remember after seeing him on the court.
Yeah, I think that you have to say as of right now, it would be Ja because he's done more in the playoffs. But because of the off the court issues, we have to, obviously you have to just kind of dampen expectations a little bit because of that. But I know Ant's great. I know he's awesome. Well, I do.
When you say playoffs, the first thing I think about is that corner 3 he hit to tie that game up in the playoffs against the Grizzlies. And then he gave up the layup to Ja on the very next possession. But that 3 is just, that's like next level type shot making, dude. It's just unbelievable. But then we saw Ja go crazy against the Lakers too in a game the Grizzlies lost. It's just, listen, I'm glad that Ja's going to be back on the court. I'm excited. I'm so sad about where the team's going to be by the time he gets back. But it'll help with these types of conversations.
Well, speaking of being so sad when Ja gets back, as Dennis says, hold on. Oh, wrong one.
We suck again. Oh no, we suck again. Yeah, I saw that comment.
Dennis, I love that comment. Nate, even private, hit me up in the chat. Was like, read Dennis's comment, and so I was like looking for it as he's talking. So it was awesome.
There's one comment I want to give some serious talk on. Whenever you're
all right, last one. Who is number 1 in 24? I know 24 is Jalen Noel or Noel. It's Noel. Number 1 has to be Shaquille Harrison. Has to.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know, but I'm assuming it's Shaq Harrison.
Yeah, it's got to be. All right, which one do you want to bring up?
All right, so I'm going to bring up our guy Dak's comment here. We don't have NBA players. And I've been the king of saying, give me my NBA players back. So I feel like I've contributed to this. But I do want to say that a lot of these guys on the roster, and make sure that Ryan, clip this.
Whoa.
Ryan, this is for you.
Whoa.
So that you don't get your feelings hurt.
Whoa.
These guys, a lot of them are actual NBA rotation roster players. The problem is they're all 8 to 15 roster players. Really at best, right? Like you have Desmond Bane, bona fide NBA player, wrote top 5 on a team type player. Jaren Jackson, top 5 on a team type player. And those guys are top 1 through 3 type players on an NBA team, right? After that, everybody at best is 7, right? You look at Santi Aldama, he could be your 7th guy, right? That you're looking to. Maybe D Rose could be that as well. Bismack, maybe a 7 guy type thing. After that, it's all end of rotation to end of bench players.
Yeah.
Every one of them. Some of the guys, they're not NBA players, right? We've hit on that. But a lot of them are NBA players, but you're asking them to do more than they are capable of doing night in and night out. And so I wanted to bring that up because I know I personally have been the absolute king of saying, give me my NBA players back. But at the same time, I think some of these guys are NBA players that are just, they're not your 5 through 7, much less your 3 through 5, right? It's just too much of too little. So I just wanted to make sure I brought that up because it stood out to me.
No, I like it. And even Dak Jones was saying is our defense has been really good. It's been okay. I think that it's been fine in a lot of areas outside of the 3-point shot. There's too many wide open threes. We're over helping. Besides that, it has been okay. It's been fine, especially in the paint. Protection has been really good. But we're going to be good when we actually somewhat hit shots. We just aren't going to hit shots. And we don't have the players that are going to knock down shots right now. But I do have some stuff I want to hit on real quick. This is all stuff that is brand new. It's kind of coming through my timeline a little bit right now. But during one of the last timeouts, Marcus Smart was very irate. And you can see this. DeMichael Cole actually, quote tweeted, or I think he actually just retweeted it. And he was screaming at, the entire, sideline. And I'll go ahead and do it from our main account. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and retweet it there. But he was just screaming out, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing just many a times to the teammates. And so, listen, I don't know what that is other than leadership. Like sometimes you have to just be the guy that is, I guess everybody's pissed at. To become a leader, sometimes you have to stand up, no matter if it does suck, no matter if you are the guy that everybody hates. They'll end up coming back to loving you, I promise. But the only thing he can do right now, and talking about Marcus Smart, is actually use his voice because he's hurt and he's on the bench and he can't do anything. So what he's having to do is honestly stand up to the team and kind of show a little better than leadership. And if they don't respect him, they're probably not going to make it in the league. Let's just be honest. But if they want to respect him, they want to play a little bit better, and they want to be embarrassed, I think this is going to hit home. This is why you get Marcus Smart. This is the difference of Marcus Smart and Dillon Brooks. I'm not saying, you're doing 1 for 1. I'm talking about just in general. The reason they brought him in, they knew the Grizzlies knew the front office, they were going to lose Dillon Brooks because he didn't want to re-sign for that amount of money for whatever, that's his own prerogative. And that's fine. That's what he wants to do. But this is why you bring in a Marcus Smart, is because he gets after it a little bit. We're going to try to hear the press conference from Taylor Jenkins here in a little bit, as we always do. But DeMichael Cole's already said that Taylor Jenkins is said of the guys that they're pissed right now, and they should be. So I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know what it's going to turn around to be, but I think it's going to be important. Let's go ahead and get into our first, I guess I don't know, just a little bit of a commercial break, and then I want to get into our the question of how well do you know your Grizz? And at that point, we should have the Taylor Jenkins press conference kind of coming out, and then we'll kind of hit on some Taylor Jenkins questions as we get out midway through the show. Be back in 1 minute.
Yeah, because Zach Randolph went into the Blazers organization that had some characters. Underline the word characters, right. Okay? He's coming from Michigan State. He's from Marion, Indiana. And then you go to Portland, Oregon, which it's an entirely different culture, entirely different demographic. He had people around him who were guys from Marion. Hey, you owe us. Anthony, one of the key memories of my time here in Memphis off the court, I did a Read to Achieve event with Zach Randolph. And the kid who read the most books, his prize was to get to interview Zach Randolph. And the young man, first question to Zach is, what's the hardest thing for a black athlete to learn? And Zach did not give him any, like BS fluff answer. He said, a lot of times the people who say they're your friends, they're not your friends. And you have to pick the people around you very, very wisely.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, we are back. Obviously, there's more stuff coming out about the Marcus Smart part of the bench stuff. Is he used obviously a lot of language, but also now they were asking Taylor Jenkins about it, and he said that he's here for what Marcus Smart has done, and the team needs more of that. And so obviously he stands behind it. We'll get on what Coach is going to say probably in his press conference very soon. If you're already hearing it, awesome. But as soon as I see it come through my timeline, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for us. But the first thing, Nathan, how well do you know your Grizzlies?
These aren't my Grizzlies, by the way.
Yeah.
My Grizzlies are all in the injury report. I'm kidding. Jokes. It's all jokes. We're just having fun.
All right, real quick. Let's go. Listen, hey, first comment. First of all, I've not seen this. I don't know if you've seen this. We have our first comment from Facebook. I didn't realize Facebook could comment. So, Gosselin, Best Life. I didn't know it even came. I didn't know the platforms communicated properly. What are we doing? Now I'm actually reading it. Hey, Gosselin.
Yeah, I was about to say, you really wanna do that? I bet it's legit.
Yeah, what an idiot.
I bet it's totally legit.
But yeah, I didn't know you could do that. So hey, first of all, thank you for hanging out with us and watching. But we're not gonna actually say something to you to get you to give us 5,000. Anyway, how well do you know your Grizzlies? So the Grizzlies obviously came over from Vancouver.
Yep.
The Grizzlies first came over from Vancouver when they were being established as a franchise. They were not initially called the Grizzlies. They wanted to actually give them another nickname of another like mascot, whatever you want to call it. What is the first mascot that was being planned for the Vancouver Grizzlies?
The Mounties.
Wow, you do know your Grizz. How'd you know that?
No, it's not. Is it really?
Yes, the Mounties.
This is why I'm a great gambler. Better to be lucky than good. I completely made that up. Are you serious? That was the first one?
100%. So, yeah, I do have the actual wording of it.
Let's go.
Here it is. So I'll read it, and it's actually on Wikipedia. So I was looking for it, and I finally found it at some point. The first place I did find it was Wikipedia. But they were, I cannot find it now.
You're kidding. That was it.
Yeah. So the first professional basketball team to play in Canada was the Toronto Huskies. They played in 46 and 47 for folding. But they actually then were offered, they set up the stadium and they got it ready. And then it actually ended up going to the Toronto Raptors. They were getting the funding and everything set up. And then finally they got approval to do the Grizzlies. And after all of that, original proposals for the team were to be called the Vancouver Mounties, but objections from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police forced the team to find a new name, which was announced on August 11th, named for the bear indigenous to British Columbia. The team's colors were announced to be turquoise, bronze, and red. So how about that?
Man, even in Vancouver in those fancy costumes, F the fuzz. They're too proper to be an NBA mascot. I can't believe I got that right. I completely pulled that out of nowhere. Let's go. Hey,
Dak Daniels says the Huskies. David Vickers says the Moose Butts. Listen, I think a lot of that actually sounds good. The Memphis Mounties sounds really good. I don't know why we would ever be the Memphis Mounties, but that would be hilarious if we were the Memphis Mounties or Memphis Moose Butts, as David says. All right, let's get into a little bit of Taylor Jenkins.
Awesome.
How much do you put on the team's success or no success actually right now on Taylor Jenkins? If you had to give a scale of 1 to 10.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so tough because to an extent, I mean, you've got a lineup that could win a majority of playoff minutes sitting on the bench. I mean, you've got what, $100 million sitting on the bench?
Easily.
Or sitting on the injury report. I'm sorry, not on the bench. I mean, so it's tough. At the same time, he throws out lineups that include Vince Williams, Jacob Gilliard, Santi Aldama, Jaren Jackson, and who was the last one today? It was brutal. Zaire Williams.
All right, I got a question to that. Let me be the devil's advocate. What is he supposed to do? Okay, so I'm going to give you obviously Jaren and Bane. Okay, so you include one of them into that. Okay, you make one switch. I'm guessing you can't do both because they have to set at some point. So that's my rebuttal to that. So what do you do?
Daniel, the answer is something else.
That's the problem. What is something else?
No, dude. Okay.
You can't come back with just something else.
A lineup of guys, zero people on that lineup were capable of scoring tonight. And you can say, oh, Jaren can score. Jaren does not score against other bigs. So you got to have somebody who can do something. David Roddy would be better in that situation. Still not great, but I understand it.
That's what I'm saying.
Derrick Rose is better in that situation. That line, okay, I understand. He is trying to put a square peg into a round hole. I get it. But he put the most octagonal, crooked, broken, oversized square peg and tried to fit it into that round hole. That is the worst lineup. That might be the worst lineup you could construct out of that entire, like, maybe insert someone else for Jaren, I guess.
Yeah.
That might be the single worst lineup you could put together. So I understand there's going to be bad lineups. There's going to be lineups where you put something like that out there and Jaren just doesn't deliver. And I go, as a coach, that's all you can do. You got to have Jaren deliver. That ain't the lineup I can say that to. That lineup was terrible. I trust zero people out of that lineup to do anything that contributes to winning at that point.
So you're talking about the lineup that was starting the second, correct?
Yes. Okay.
I'm looking at the numbers.
Horrid. And you've got to have somebody that can self-create in there in some shape or form. And I'm not saying be good at it, but you've seen Derrick Rose be able to do it. You've seen David Roddy be able to do it. And I guess you could say, oh, okay, we've seen Zaire Williams do that before. I guess you could say that as an excuse. But that it was just, I mean, as soon as the lineup was on the floor, I mean, it's one of those where I know you're just playing devil's advocate, but if you said anything other than this is going to be an abject disaster, then I don't you haven't been watching Grizzlies basketball.
The reason I do this is because I honestly think it's important to kind of discuss things, because a lot of times, and shout out to Spaces, I know they have a chance to actually bring up different people and discuss things. And obviously here too, if you want to hit the comments, we'll be more than happy to do it. Instead of actually more voices and where it's all, just kind of, we do it differently here. Somewhat the same thing. We just do it a little bit different, where we're talking through your discussions. And honestly, if it's that big of a thing and we're talking about different things enough, I'd be more than happy to kind of bring you up at some point. I've seen other shows do actual voice messages where you can do that. I don't know if that's necessarily needed, but I will say is the reason I do this is because you talked about that, and I didn't get the number on the time, but it was a 14-6 run. It was over the course of about 5 minutes. Okay, so it's not that much.
That's much
but
better.
It was a 14-6 run. But honestly, they wasn't great. The only issue with that is they were only down 5. And so then you give up a 14-6 run, and then obviously it blooms back into double digits. And that's the issue. But that's my biggest thing is I think when you look at this, you got to look at different ways of thinking about it. So go ahead and give me a number. Nate throughout their comments said he gives Taylor a 7 so far on the season, which would obviously be it's a high number. It'd be bad, on his coaching stuff. So if you had to give a number just in general, 1 to 10, 10 being the worst.
No, I'd say 4, because it has been some stuff that I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're trying to do, but like he could pull that stuff with an NBA roster just like other coaches do and still win a bunch of ball games. There's plenty of coaches in the league that don't know what they're doing, but they have all-stars and superstars on their team and true 1 through 10 rotations, and they win games. So yeah, to be clear, when I say the answer is something else, I literally mean you could have thrown out any other lineup and I probably would have been happier about it. That's why I said that. But generally speaking, like, yeah, dude, like.
All right, so
you can't turn this into something.
So some people, Nate said 7. You said 4. LOL. Nope. Jones says 4 as well. Dak Jones said he gets it an incomplete. He's playing with spades, and we're with all hearts. We're playing the game of spades, and we are out of spades. We have 1. We have like the 10 of spade, and that's it. And Desmond Bain is just not going to cut it. Yes, that's what we have right now.
Given a trick deck. There's no spades. It's only hearts and diamonds.
And Jaron is Jaron's the king of hearts, right? The one that you think, hey, that might be a book. That might be all right. And then you get it and you're like, wait, everybody, I have all the hearts. What are we doing? I was counting that as a book. And as Robert Barnett says, Jaron is just looking terrible. He is. He's going through it too. So another question on Taylor Jenkins as well. If you look at some of the decisions he is making, right, he's trying to go with some things and trying different things. He's going with a 9-man rotations a lot of times. Tonight he goes away from Conchar, and he sticks with Zaire, Roddy, Rose, and somebody else. Who was the other guy? Who am I missing? He went with Roddy, Rose, Zaire, and Vince Williams. Okay, and everybody wanted Vince Williams to play, and honestly, he was fine. He didn't do much. He didn't hit any open shots as well. He pretty much did what Conchar did. Let's just be honest. So then Jalen Noel, he obviously goes to him at some point. Me and Sang were actually discussing this. Do you think that should be a knock for not like playing him immediately since he's getting here? Or do you think that, hey, you have to like kind of work through it? He's on a 10-day. Like he showed some glimpses when he played tonight. Do you knock him for that? Because that obviously that's a topic of discussion. I think that's important to kind of talk through.
No, I mean, I think it's a extenuating circumstance where I would have gone to him earlier personally, just because you don't have anyone else that can knock down an open shot. And so you need that so badly that I'm like, okay, put the guy on the court that you have seen knock down open shots and with other NBA teams. But as far as like, generally speaking, somebody shows up on a 10-day, they're not playing for you the first game after that. Typically that's not happening. So that's not a knock. I mean, they're in such bad shape. You're like, can you hit an open 3? You get on the court tonight. But no, it's not a knock. It's not.
So is that not game plan though? Like, can you game plan this team to compete more? Because obviously we've said that this team isn't, they don't have all the all-stars. They don't have their main guy. Can you not set up a game plan maybe to make this team compete better than they are? Because obviously they haven't looked good as of late.
Yes, Taylor Jenkins could game plan better. He could game plan better. At the same time, like, dude, you can't game plan. Guys are just going to miss every shot they get that's wide ass open. Like, at a certain point during the second quarter, they're like 2 for 13. And I'm like, blind luck, one of these should have gone in by now. And it's just abysmal. And so, while it's like, yes, you could probably game plan a little bit better, there's certain things where like, dude, at the end of the day, these guys are still professional basketball players that have to make shots.
Yeah.
There's a lot of open shots. Now, are they open for a reason? Sure. Should the Grizzlies get to the paint more in general? Sure. But let me tell you something. Every team they play is also bigger than them, and that happens to just, the one they just played, be one of the teams that is way bigger than them. And so, yes, I'm the number one getting to the paint guy. I had a whole chalkboard about it last week. Getting to the paint. At the same time, those dudes ain't doing nothing in the paint against teams like that are that much bigger than them. So, yeah, could he game plan better? Sure. Part of the game plan is you're a professional basketball player, hit wide open shots.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, that's a lot of what I was kind of thinking is I do blame that Taylor for some things, right? Because I do think that the offense could look a little bit better. I think there could be some different motions. But as we look through a lot of this, there has been different motion. There has been him trying things. That's why I don't look at this season and have any expectations for the simple fact that we're having so many issues just hitting open shots. And when Ja gets back, it will open up even more open shots. Can we knock them down? Because Ja's going to get there, and Ja's going to score 20 to 25 points a game. Easy. Like, that's what he's going to do. He's going to be able to kick it out to wide open shots. The flow would be a little bit better because there should be a little bit more tempo to the game. But honestly, the thing that I stopped beating up Taylor, after the first 3 or 4 games, whatever, it doesn't look good. And then I kind of gave it to him a little bit during a stretch of 5 games. But now, listen, he went away from Conchar that people were complaining about, and he went to Vince Williams, and Vince Williams didn't do anything, right? And so honestly, they pick up Shaq Harrison, who isn't good. I don't know why they keep going to him, but I don't know who else is out there that's any good. Jalen Noel, who is very good. I like him, and he went with him after he went with his 9 guys that's been on this team who are under contract and not on 10 days. He actually went to play Jalen, and Jalen looked good, and he'll probably get more minutes next game. But like, my thing is I'm not saying that Taylor Jenkins is making all the right things. I don't know if any coach could win with this roster. Like, it's bad. The creativity is bad. And that's what I see in general. And that's the biggest thing that I don't want to knock him too much. And that's why I want to ask the questions.
Dude, people, and listen, I have come on here a couple of times and said, if you wanted to tell me Taylor Jenkins is not the coach to get this team to win a championship and get them over the hump, I think there are perfectly good arguments for that.
Right.
100%. And I think we've seen it play out this year. You and me both have been really unhappy. The second that lineup went out in the second quarter, I was like, what is this that I'm about to have to watch? This is gross. I already know what's going to happen. So, 100% it's there. At the same time, people just want someone to be mad at, dude. And that's my biggest thing as a Grizzlies fan. I come up to these games with 0 expectations.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope we get some good basketball tonight. But quite frankly, I hope we get good basketball tonight. But if you're expecting good basketball with the roster that they currently have put together, you're setting yourself up to be mad.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, bring back my favorite phrase from a couple years ago. Touch grass. Go touch some grass. Get off of Twitter. Go do something besides watch basketball, and especially watching Grizzlies basketball. My God, if the only basketball you're watching right now is Grizzlies basketball, then you are just a glutton for punishment.
You're miserable. That's what you are. You're miserable.
Just embrace the misery full on. But dude, quite frankly, I show up with zero expectations. I told you I had this game on there on my TV, but I'm mainly watching the football game, seeing what's going on with my fantasy team. Because quite frankly, that's where we're at. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah,
this team's not good.
Nope.
And at the end of the day, you don't have to blame a bunch of people for that. Like, you don't have to sit there and say, hey, this team won 50. No, this team didn't win 56 games. All right, this team hasn't been the second seed in the West. This is a shell of that team. And it's like the players aren't that good. The roster's not that good. The coach may not be that good. But you might just want to quit looking for things to be mad at and just like embrace the little things that are a win. Like for me, David Roddy fan club, we're slowly but surely working our stock back up. David Roddy keeps, maybe just because he survived the war of attrition in the wing slot, but he is slowly getting back in people's good graces. Not that he ever left mine, but just look for the little wins. Look for the little things that you can take when this team is back to the actual team it's supposed to be. Right? Quit setting expectations too high.
Yeah. As LOL Nope Jones says, they get a few good stretches, a game, and then they make, then they look like themselves. And his other one says, but then the run, inevitably comes to an end and you got to kind of live with it. Well, let's just talk more about just a game. Let's talk about the start of the season. It looked like at times like, hey, they look like they're figuring it out. Like, oh my God, finally we win. It finally looks better. And then it obviously stops and comes back to what it was. And I'm just going to just tell you, that's just being young and inconsistent. That's what that is. And if you want to just blame anything, it is injuries and it's being young and dumb. And that's what this team is. They don't look good. It has not been a fun season. I hate coming on here feeling like I'm talking people off the edge. Last game, I don't know who I talked off the edge, but if you got, I know you probably didn't watch it as much, Nate. But I would say that I had to talk. I think it might have been Dak Daniels off the edge. But that's really what I feel like we're doing half the time is we're pulling people back from the edge and saying, hey, just chill. And I'm probably too positive about it, but I just think this season's gone. I really do. I think that it's going to be tough to get to 6 wins. I thought we would go 2-2 on this stretch, and we're 0-3. Like that's where we're at. It's tough.
And it's also, it's just they can't catch a break too. No. That's what I'm saying. Why everyone's looking for someone to be mad at about it. And it's like, oh, they should have signed someone else when they knew Steven Adams might not play. And it's like, well, all signs seem to be positive. Then they went negative. Also, who the hell are you going to sign, dog? Bismack Biyombo's who you're going to sign. Look how that's going, right? Still love Biz. Still think he's working hard for this team every night. But at the same, like, what are you going to do? You don't have to be mad at somebody. Sometimes things just suck and aren't going well. And we are in that spot, right? And so come here. The Grizz 901 podcast is here for good vibes, baby. We're going to make some Irish coffees. We're going to finish off some bookers. We're going to be having a good time. Come get talked off the ledge. That's what we're here for.
Speaking of the ledge, it wasn't Dak Daniels. So he said he's cool as the underside of the pillow.
Okay, Brevin. All right. We got Brevin in the chat. Hey, Brevin.
But as Dave Bigger says, he's finding it hard to watch this when we can't celebrate. Listen, David, thank you for watching this show. We're going to celebrate something somehow, sometime. We might celebrate the 19th of December. I don't know. But we're going to celebrate something.
Remember the 5th of November.
We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep being having fun. But anyway, just make sure you kind of stay locked in with us. Yeah, stay locked in with us. Have a good time. Anything else you want to hit on before we get you the preview real quick?
Dog, David Roddy, 40% from 3, close to 50% from the field, 11-2. We are all the way back up. Also, if Zaire Williams would hit threes before the game's out of hand in the fourth quarter, this team would have a real turnaround. All right. I think that's all I got.
All right, let's get to our break real quick. Which one do we want to take? Let's go to this one. 42 seconds. We'll be right back.
Has FAU somersaulted over a lot of other teams as like your most aggravating fan base?
Oh, easily. They just think they are so elite because they made this one run. You won this one fluky ass game where there were 6 or 7 different calls. Everyone were up in arms about, like, what are we talking about? And it's not like a thing where they're like, hey, Memphis, great game. You guys are great competitors. I can't wait to see what the future holds between us. Because if they said that, I would respect them. I don't respect FAU fans. I don't.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Yo, shout out to the Tigers Untapped. Also, shout out to Bluff City Media. Make sure you tune in each and every week. We always have our shows on here, daily shows. I know they are same show as Wednesday and Friday at noon. There are some other shows that come on here, so make sure you stay tuned. If you like the Tigers, it's happening all week. If you like the Grizzlies, we are going live, obviously, each and every week with our different shows. But also, every morning, we have the Daily Grind, so make sure you tune into that. I do have some kind of – here it is. Look at this. The Daily Grind every morning. So I'm guessing in the morning you're going to see Luke and Mark back. They took off the holidays. We did not. They did. But they'll be back hopefully tomorrow. And then you obviously have Sane, like I said, Wednesdays and Fridays at noon. We were here on every single post-game show as we fought through the entire holiday time. But if you're a fan of us, please hit that like button. It helps us. It makes us look better in the algorithm of whatever the algorithm is of YouTube. But also on Twitter, you can hit those like button as well. But also hit the subscribe button on YouTube, whether it's over on Bluff City Media or it's on Grizz 901 Podcast. We're growing again. We had, I think, another 5 or 6 more subscribers just in the past few days. And so thank you all for kind of hanging out with us. We're going to have more fun. I promise you. I think we're doing a decent job of fun at finding times to be fun during this terrible, terrible start to the season. But we're going to kind of keep trying our best to make you happy, make you laugh, and give you a little bit of Grizzlies basketball. Let's get into the Jazz, where you are at currently. You're finally back in your home abode. First of all, give me a grade on the trip. A, B, C, D.
Well, this is a public forum in which people I was visiting with would be seeing. So,
A plus.
There are parts that were like A plus.
Oh,
and then there are parts that were like C. But I'd say the lowest it got to was a C, which honestly, for a trip back home with family the entire time, it's pretty dang good. That's an A plus trip.
You hit up 3 or 4 different states, right?
We were in Tennessee,
Mississippi.
I guess we pit stopped in Georgia.
Oh,
and then Florida.
You Mississippi too, right?
Oh yeah, technically speaking, Mississippi was part of that. Yes, that was the thing.
You're an idiot. All right, so Dave Vickers does have a question. When is BC coming back? Not this season. I don't expect him to be back this season at all. So yeah, there's no expectations, but I wouldn't say back this season.
What did the medical staff tell us?
He's dead. All right, let's get into the Jazz.
Is out 23-24 season due to death.
Yeah, he's dead. And we're completely kidding. Don't come shut us down. But the Jazz are 5-11 on the season. They lost to the Pelicans on Saturday. They have a game on Monday, and then they're going to play the Pelicans again at home, and then they're going to come into Memphis on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So the 29th. Hey, that was my question. Here, Kenny did this. He didn't get the Aaron Rodgers surgery. Like, what are we doing? If you're not doing it the Aaron Rodgers style at this point, what is happening? Because Aaron Rodgers is trying to come back
long and lasting career.
Yeah, true. trying to be dead. But the Jazz, obviously, they've beaten us twice, I think, this season so far. Mm-hmm. I don't have any expectations for this game. They have not looked good. They did play well in the fourth quarter against the Pelicans in the last game on Saturday to kind of come back, even though the Pelicans should have won that game. They get completely choked. But the Jazz won that game. But now they're going to play them again on Monday, like I said, and then us. And so anything that you have in general any thoughts on the Jazz? We've seen them twice. what kind of sticks out to you about them, and just your first thoughts?
Well, the first thought I have is, good, I get to spend another $5 on a Jazz Plus game because League Pass doesn't let me watch any Jazz games because of my location. League Pass, figure it out. Mess. It's a mess. My second thought is, I really like watching the Jazz. So no matter how it goes, at least there will be a positive for me to take away, because I love, and I've talked with you about this a ton since the summer, Keontae George. Keontae George is going to be awesome, and I love watching him play basketball. Outside of that, I think they are a fun team. I think they play a really fun brand of basketball, even if they don't win a lot. It's fun to watch. So I hope that the Grizz can find a way to rally together and limit them from three. If they can stay connected on defense, that's one of those teams, if you're connected on defense and you attack the paint, you actually have a chance to succeed if you're Memphis. They're not that big. They don't have that good of rim protection. And if you stay connected on defense and contest their shots, they're not always going to hit them like some of these other teams are. So it's a good chance for Memphis to get a win. I think it'd be a big confidence booster after them losing the first two for them to get in and beat this team. And quite frankly, you need the win. I mean, if you're hoping to get to 5 wins by the time John Moran gets back, you need this win bad. So much less trying to get to 6, 8, anything like that. But it'll be fun. I'm going to have fun no matter what.
All right. Well, Nate, our new segment, how well do you know your Jazz? In the first 2 games, in the 2 matchups against the Grizzlies, how many three-pointers combined did the Utah Jazz take against your other team, the Memphis Grizzlies?
37. Oh, take or make. Sorry, take or make.
Well, is that your make?
That's my make.
Okay, give me your take. How many did they take then? So you're saying 37 and whatever?
37 for, let me see, 37 times 2 is 74.
Look at the math on that guy.
I'm going to say 71.
No, but it's very good. Very close. 40 for 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it would be slightly above 50%.
40 for 80. Okay, let's that is the game plan. Stop the 3-point shot.
That's asinine.
80. That is crazy. And so when you were talking to that, I just wanted to look through some stats, and I saw that, and 50%. Hey, LOL, nope. Jones, yes, 50. Even
Quick math.
I didn't use a calculator for that, in case you're wondering. But yeah, 50%, 40 of 80. Crazy. So it's the 3-point line. They won the first game big, 133 to 109. And then the second game, it was actually the play-in game. I think it was our first one. It was 127 to 121. The Grizzlies finally played well in that game, and they lost. But all in all, they have to stop the 3-point shot. If they could figure out a way to stop the shot, it could be better. It could have a chance to win.
For 80? God, dude. Oh, man, that's wild. Yeah.
Yep,
I can't believe the fact that I was on the right track and somehow it ended up being worse.
When you said 37, I had to give it to you because I knew what you were saying. And so I was like, all right, I'll let you keep 37 because that's a good one. I didn't think you'd go 71. I thought you'd go like 90.
I thought it'd be above 50%. So, woof.
All right. Well, but that's all we have. Anything else you have on that matchup at all before we end the show?
No, I think you're absolutely right. If they can limit the 3 and then they themselves can get into the paint, I think they have a really good chance against that team. Yeah. Truly. I think we saw that in the last matchup when they turned it around. Yeah, we just got to hope Bane has just had a couple off nights and the foot isn't going to be a lingering thing that continues to give him trouble. And that's what the issue has been. Because if that's the truth, then man, you're down to not just bones, you're down to one bone. You have a singular rib remaining protecting your heart, and the heart's already been shattered into a million pieces. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm gonna look forward to watch that game in all seriousness.
All right, well, the Grizzlies have the last game. It is on the 29th of October before we get into December basketball.
November.
What did I say?
October.
November, whatever we are. The Grizzlies are 3-13 as we speak. I'm hoping we are 4-13. Like I said, you need 3 wins. 3 wins. So we are down to, 9 games left for Ja?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's 9. And that's a good point. I will say it's the season is not completely lost yet. As bleak as it is, and as much as I'm like just super not excited about the remaining games. If you somehow sneak to 6 wins, I've always said if they can get to 6 wins before Ja comes back, anything's possible. I'm not betting on them to get to 6 wins. To be clear, they are the worst team in every matchup they have. So everyone's like, "Hey, the Jazz are kind of bad." They're not as bad as the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
All right. So let's be clear. But if you can sneak to 6, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. I never saw never was able to get the Taylor Jenkins stuff tonight, so apologize about that. And so normally we do, but I think we had enough comments from him and from DeMichael Cole from Drew Hill. Gave us enough information. But anyway, I think the Grizzlies. Listen, we're going through it. It sucks. The only thing I can think of is trying to figure out a way to go 3-6 over the next 9. And I'm like keeping it bite-sized, like I've always talked about. 3-6 over the next 9 would be better basketball. You're feeling better. Ja comes back. That's obviously instantly much better. We have to be getting not Derrick Rose, but Marcus Smart, Xavier Tillman have to be coming back soon. Have to be. And at that point, you're going to switch out a good player for not as good of a player for sure. And so that has to help you a little bit, in my opinion. And so I think that the Grizzlies, I think the Grizzlies could be okay, but we need to somehow find a way to get some of these guys back. We got to get, taking it by size. The Jazz would be a good start. The Grizzlies are now 0-8 at home. 0-8. It's disgusting. But that's all we have on the show. If you can, go ahead and hit us up with a like here on the show, but also anywhere that we have this posted. Subscribe to the channel over at Bluff City Media, as well as Grizz 101, whichever you'd like to do. We would appreciate that. It's free. It's free. You just come on in. Come on in. That's all we got. Let's have a great start to the week. My wife doesn't want to go back to work. I told her I've pretty much been working all week, but I don't want to go back to work either. But I'm obviously working from right here. This is where my office is. And so I don't have to move much, but that's all we have. Let's have a great week. Let's have fun. Be nice and tell your friends.